I think they have to really bring out all the stops. I mean, the thing is, as a team, it's unlikely that you're going to prepare as if you're going to be in the finals. You always prepare for the semifinals because if you're a top 3, top 4 team, that's realistically where you're going to get to. So you're going to throw everything you have at this match, and Hellraisers hopefully has something special on the attack here.
Well, they are going to be kicking things off. It'll be Hellraisers in the red and NSS in the blue. They get to start on defense here as well, which is actually the map that everything fell apart on up against Simp. However, they're up against a very, very different team. It's a very, very different context. It is the same situation for them now, obviously moving towards this main stage. So let's see what the defense side looks like. Already we see the Bat Chat moving up. Unlike he'll stay on that cap for too long there. We'll see how much information he wants to get. No attempt really from NSS to have a stranglehold on that 0 line just yet.
Interesting that NSS has that T49 in that position. We've been talking about T49 a little bit in the grand finals so far. I think it's been underused a little bit. He's actually got the stock gun there, so 250 damage, great DPM. Oh, no, he's got no, sorry, I thought he had the stock gun. Obviously he doesn't. He's got a way too big of an aiming circle. He's actually got the derp gun, the 152mm, so it can be used effectively. Hellraisers be known to go pretty light on the attack. Let's see if he can actually penetrate anything. He's in a pretty offensive spotting position, but he might just be there for that first bit of kind of damage and maybe for a little bit of splash later on.
Applewell's the first to take damage in this one. He's actually got himself set up in a position we see a lot of teams generally use some of these tanks here as well. He's in the 113, so not opting to get up on the building or anything. This is fairly passive for him. And you see, Nesqui's not really being threatened right now, so he's going to be happy to stay here because NSS don't have 0 line control. They're not in that back corner, so it's going to be interesting to see how they try and work out from the village and actually either halt or interrupt this cap and then actually sort of try and stamp Hellraisers out of their territory.
I think right now, I mean, the cap's underway. The Bat Chat's in there, so it's not a full commitment from Hellraisers. Quite a lot of damage actually going towards NSS. Obviously, they have the heavier lineup, but a lot of damage going into those FEs now.
That was excellent. Nesqui got the spot there and is able to back away from the cap circle now. A lot of shots to come on, and now Griffin there as well. You see him now on reload, but he did get some good salvos going towards Beowulf and Evil Granny. New additions for NSS, and again, a little bit tricky then for NSS. They know, okay, if we peek forward and try to reset, they're going to have people aimed and ready to fire at us. It's pretty obvious for Nesqui that he's not actually trying to win the game there, but hey, if he's not going to get peaked, then NSS are going to run out of time.
Why doesn't Nesqui just do the same thing? Wait for Griffin on that reload, about 20 to 30 seconds left. Nesqui can go in the cap again, get the spots on the FEs, and if they haven't moved back, it's going to be another 1.5k damage onto Hellraisers, NSS, sorry. Maybe they will have some sort of backup plan. We have to wait and see. They're now pushing forward a little bit to see if they can actually get some more of that damage. Bit of back and forth between some northern play with a T54 lightweight. I think Hellraisers just testing the water. They're getting some good initial damage that allows them some possibilities into this map. Maybe they want to go north, but they are, again, capping.
Yep, again, just as you suggested, Nesqui really should do is just get up on there and start this thing off. And again, what kind of damage can be gleaned from this? Again, Beowulf takes another big hit. And yes, this time Nesqui actually does take a bit of a scratch, but he's not worried about it because the rest of his team, he can trust them. He can guarantee that they're going to back him up here. They're getting shots over. You can see now a lot of these big heavy tanks from NSS have been chunked down somewhat, and that's not good. If push is going to come to shove and there's going to be an all-out brawl, they're already behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, they are definitely not helping themselves here. It's being a bit of a war of attrition, but the thing is about Roenberg is even if you're maybe even a tier 10 or a tier 10 in terms of hit points ahead on the attacking side, you still can end up losing it. So there's definitely a problem there for Hellraisers. They don't want to overcommit or get overconfident in this situation. It looks like they've kind of disengaged from the north a little bit. I think you saw the T54 and the Bat Chat getting spotted a couple of times, so a little bit worried about that one. The I-7s hold down that right side. The cap is still getting lower, and I think Harry's just saying, okay, you know, this cap is now 50%. There's about 45 seconds left. It's your move to make, NSS.
The problem is, since Nesqui pulled off the cap and came back, NSS haven't taken any better position since then. No more safer positions to fire towards the cap or get resets or take down Hellraiser's tanks on Overwatch right now. Near you at least has moved down off that 0 line here. This is why it's so important, right? Talk about that back corner. K0 is a crucial part of the map. If you as a defending team can set up there, you can interrupt, and that's big damage from Griffin as well. That 50B was definitely punished for trying to press across that road.
This is insane damage. I mean, what he's doing is just shooting once, waiting for 10 seconds, and then getting, obviously that means he's unspotted, and he's peeking again and doing more damage. It's great stuff from Griffin.
Shadow now moving on towards that 0 line. He knows he needs to try and establish a position here, but it may be too late already. NSS having taken so much damage, Shadow now can reset, he can harass, he will be focused eventually Unfortunately, Nuki falls in the north there as well, and that's control for Hellraisers. Since NSS have redistributed their forces towards the eastern side, they don't have control of the north, and that's bad news for the Men in Blue.
Great stuff now for the Hellraisers, starting to get NSS in some awkward positions. They've moved out those defensive lines, and they're starting to work them down.
Shotnik now having to press forward. Time is definitely running out for NSS. They're not even worried about the cap. It's about staying alive and trying to get some damage back. Just trading damage is not good enough at this point. NSS need to find fights, but I don't think they can. There's so much distance to cross for them to actually get towards Hellraisers, and they're being chunked down bit by bit. Shadow at least got that important position, but again, a little bit late in the round for that one, and Near You is just going to make life so damn hard there. 215B is trying to press towards him. Just shot after shot, bang him in there, and it's going to be all but done.
Ooh, I don't know about this. It's a full health 140 linked up with an FE215B. There's a little bit of an opening here for Hellraisers, but they're letting it slip a little bit. Cap's now underway in the north. I think there's 2 or 3 tanks in there, so the reset has to come in from NSS.
That's right, and they have to commit more resources to just stopping this reset, which has been the story of the whole game towards the northern side. It's going to be happening. There's not going to be enough time. Shotnik is trying to get there, but he's the closest tank, and he's still back around the corner. Hellraisers poke, prod, and they pull NSS across the map like not enough butter over too much bread.
Great decision making there from Hellraisers. They had the option, of course, going for the kills against NSS. They knew that NSS being on the defense side still had the better positions. They'd also got control of that zero line, and they were like, okay, we've got Griffin in the Waffentrag in the middle. The T-54 was up north the whole time. The Batchat can rotate very quickly. Bang them in the cap. 3 there very quick. A bit of distraction there from the from Apple Wow, keeping the rest of NSS under control. Bish bash bosh, cap's done.
Now we're starting to see NSS's issues that we've already seen in the past on defense on Ruinberg start to become exacerbated by a team who knows just how to hit towards the weak spots on this team. I mean, quite simply, Nesquik just had to push forward on and off the cap. NSS were drawn into these fights. They had no presence in the city, of course, so you see Griffin was so free now on reload in this clip just to lay damage down towards this pair in the middle.
Yeah, Griffin, what he did was just put pressure onto Hellraisers, onto NSS. He did so much damage in that Waffentrager that it kind of pushed NSS forwards, and NSS obviously were low on HP. They started getting worked down. They didn't have as much flexibility around the map. They started losing tanks. That allowed some map control for Hellraisers, and it started to go from bad to worse. So fantastic round from Hellraisers. I mean, playing so well on the attacking side. NSS also knows how to play the attacking side, so pretty surprising from both teams. But yeah, let's see if NSS can even the ledger here when they actually do the old switcheroo on the attack.
Yeah, that's the big question. We saw NSS come with something a little bit different and actually take the fight into the cityscape in their last outing on Ruinberg attack. But here's your damage as well, and I think it's pretty much written on the wall exactly why Hellraisers was so successful in that round. Griffin, devastating work. He never really left the cityscape as you don't want to do with that Waffentrager, but again, just side shots, flanking shots, capitalized so very well on the information that Nesquik, who only had 448 damage, didn't need to get any more. The man was spotting for the rest of his team.
Yeah, Evil Granny, Nuki not having particularly great rounds. Nuki got nuked basically by the Batchat in the north. Evil Granny, I mean, I was watching him against Simp. Wasn't particularly impressed, especially with his heavy tank skills, so I think he has to try and work his way back into this game, see if he can actually prove himself as an offline champion. Obviously, NSS, you know, they had a pretty heartbreaking defeat to Na'Vi in the Season 2 finals for WGLRU. I do love the way he plays, though. I think he's really boosted NSS up to that next level. And, you know, even if they start to struggle against Hellraisers, I think we're going to be seeing their team just progress beyond the point of Hellraisers. But you can see Levanta there, still pretty animated. You can see the team discussing their issues. They just have to make sure they can control themselves.
Hellraisers as well. Now going off the defensive side, we'll definitely have to be wary about what NSS is going to be bringing towards them. Whether they really got to scout what NSS did against Simp remains to be seen. But again, the voting definitely still in favour of the Hellraisers as well. Defending champions here, making an absolute blistering run here through the groups and, of course, this bracket. And mind you, Hellraisers were not seeded directly from the Russian or the CIS region. They are the wildcard team. Yes, they perform well, of course, but they were slumping. They had been slumping, but here they are.
Yeah, they were in the 6th place in the world ranking. Not doing particularly well in Season 2, struggling with the 768 format. But at the end of the day, they have more experience, they have the better players than maybe everyone except Na'Vi. They have some fantastic skill in their team. Afwao has been a great addition into Season 2 coming from School Bus. You know, he's really boosted the team. He's GGWP as well. Got some players from there. You know, Nuclear came across. He's fantastic. They've just got an all-star lineup. The problem I thought they would have is that obviously with Lucic and Diador leaving the team, they wouldn't have that main guy telling them what to do, being that shot caller. But it seems to me like Neayu, who's come from the back lines, has stepped forward and taken that bastion quite well.
Yeah, obviously the Belarusian player, been around for quite some time, of course, in a few different teams, but it's good to see him stand up. It's such a young squad for both of these guys as well. A bit more experience, arguably, over on the side of Hellraisers, and that may be the difference here, I guess, when it comes to a match like this. Stamina is important, and I tell you what, NSS's stamina has been drained consistently over the course of this tournament. And again, they still want to get that shot at Na'Vi. They've been waiting for it. They haven't had a chance all tournament. They said, we come into this tournament with that much more anger, that much more desire to win. We feel like we were kind of robbed against Na'Vi in that tiebreaker final. We felt like we had them. We felt like not only we'd managed to tussle with Goliath, we almost brought him down, but they wait their next chance to do so. Na'Vi, of course, with gnashing teeth, will also be ready to receive them. But this is not all they're playing for, of course. Not just the pride, of course, that the gorgeous trophy, the title of World Championships. Incredible stuff.
I can't wait to see who does progress through the semi-final. Of course, we've got semi-final 2 afterwards. It's going to be Wombats and Na'Vi duking out later on. But second round coming up on Ruinberg. Obviously, Hellraisers now have a chance to defend. Technically, if we look at all the statistics, it's been 70% win ratio across the board in all regions, basically on the defensive side of Ruinberg. Yep. Hasn't translated that well in towards the grand finals. Conqueror
gun carriage here. The tier 10 arty being brought out by NSS. Solly, what's your read on it?
Well, it's just an insane tank. One of the first times we've seen the Conqueror actually being brought out. I mean, this British artillery, like all the British bigger tanks, you know, the FE215B, the FE215B 183, just provide a huge amount of damage. I mean, 2,200 smacking into you. A howitzer, so it's got a pretty high trajectory, which means it comes straight down on top of the tank, and also you can shoot behind some awkward buildings. Reload time's not that bad. It's a little bit slow, but it's just the best tier 10 artillery out there, and insane to see it being brought up.
Look at Monty, he's having none of it. He's like, I'm not going to that corner of the map. I know what you're playing at. I know how vulnerable I'm going to be if the Conqueror
He'll be blasted all the way to cliff if he actually gets hit, so
yeah,
it's got to be careful.
Monty's already flipped once in his time. You can see he's more set up in towards a passive scouting position here as well. Does have the camo, does have the binocs. So he's probably not looking to actually peek over and do much spotting. Just sit in the bush there and bide his time. And that, to a certain degree, is going to cancel out Levanta there on the Conqueror, really. If he depends how he sets up ultimately. But again, Monty not going to make a target of himself here. This is Hellraisers playing it nice and slow. A team that we used to just think of as super aggressive, I guess, confident, maybe arrogant to a degree, have definitely started to refine their game a lot here. And to be able to be patient up against such a potentially dangerous lineup is definitely the correct move.
Maybe Monty Abo just lost his nerve a little bit because he's just heading out of that bush. He's like, screw this, I'm not having that gun land on top of me, that shell land on top of me. Levanta is starting to reposition the artillery piece, and you can see it's actually the right call from Hellraisers. Monty repositioning up north to get that passive scouting role in one of the bushes to see, okay, where are they coming from, because that initial push didn't come out from NSS from the south.
So you can see also the way the dots work is indicating where that shell's going to land, of course, with the higher firing angle means that, like you said, you can get over some of these buildings to a certain degree. It's not, still not easy, of course, and it's rare that we do see artillery picked up on this map. Yep. We saw great work from Simp, though. They definitely knew how to rock that. So, again, it's an awkward-looking beast, Conqueror, but again...
I think it's a thing of beauty. You can see actually struggles. I mean, Ruinberg's it's a very small map, and still you can't shoot from one side to the other.
Man, I've seen your room. Most blokes have pin-up girls on the wall. You just have tanks. You just have like Conquer Action X and all that sort of stuff, and that's what you like.
Man, I do like having a good tank pin-up on the wall. Big gun really gets me excited. Apoel getting chunked down. You can see that the splash about 11-12 meters, 635 damage onto Apoel. Not only that, some of his crew, some of his modules could have easily been damaged. Luckily, he only gets away with his track, and that's maybe indicative of the FE215B's durability.
Could have been a lot worse as well. We saw that one drop it sort of over towards the safer armor end of that tank, but Apoel now knows he's not safe. Hellraisers are not secure setting up in this what was known as a standard and comfortable location. They now need to keep moving. They need to respect the position of Levanta. And it's clear to see that NSS want to play around this to a degree, but how long can they afford to just hope that Levanta actually gets some shots in?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, he's got almost a minute reload, let's say 45 seconds around that mark, depending on the equipment he has. So even if he realistically hits like the next 5 or 6 shells, it's still going to have to be NSS to push in. He's still going to have to go and do the damage at the end of the day. The team still needs to make a decision because of that long reload. So let's see if Levanta can hit a couple more shells. You know, we saw Griffin in the previous round from Hellraisers softening up NSS with a Waffentrager. Exactly the same kind of thinking is coming out from NSS with this Conqueror gun carriage, and the MX-3090 now going forward, see if he can find anything, or at least see if he can get spotted for Levanta.
So he's seen, we actually hasn't spotted Applewell, so Nuki getting spotted out, now have to back away a little bit here, and it's a very slow progress for NSS as they approach here. Applewell getting a little bit more confident, but you know that Levanta's going to be looking for your position and try and nail you there as well. The shot comes out, I think it actually yielded any results, no. Plenty of blind fire to be coming from the gun carriage at this stage. You saw it did narrowly miss Griffin, so a little bit of a close call. And this is going to keep you on your toes a little bit. You know, I can't really just sit still anymore. I do need to wait for NSS. I need to wait to see a tank. I need to spot out from here, but not so simple.
Yeah, the thing is, I think Hellraisers are winning this one. I mean, it's been 5 minutes into... Oh, Nesqui just cancels out Nuki. That's not good at all. That's the forward spotter gone for NSS. Very important when you have an artillery piece in your team. And as I was saying, you know, the time is starting to get a little bit short here for NSS. They have to push in. The artillery hasn't worked for the first 5 minutes that well. So is it really realistically going to work for the last 5 minutes? I'm not so sure.
That's it. I mean, how much are we going to see NSS try and play around this one? The rest of their team looks like they want to facilitate for openings to be made. Ultimately, they've got the double Waffentrager as well. So, you know, at some point, they're going to have to bring those guns to bear. They were probably hoping to pick up tanks caught mid-rotate or out of position, but that hasn't been the case. And Hellraisers have been able to duck, dodge, and dance around a lot of these shots coming in towards.
Duck, dodge, and dive, mate.
Yeah, well,
dodgeball.
Would have loved. Oh, great movie. So easy. And then dodge the spanner.
Exactly. Well, you're a spanner, so I can't really dodge you.
Speaking of spanners, Nesqui hoping to throw something more in the works here for NSS, as they don't really seem to be sure about how they want to proceed. Again, Levanta looking for trees to be knocked over, looking for any evidence of a tank moving in this position. He was not sure. Looking for cars that maybe have been rolled over or anything from the top of the map that would give away the position of opponent. But right now, he's just seeing nothing.
I think NSS are like, okay, well, realistically, we can't win on a forward engagement when we're on the attacking side of Ruinberg. So we're going for artillery, see if we can get lucky, see if we can do some initial damage, then we can push him with the advantage. And it hasn't worked out for them. But the thing is, it only requires one left click, and that's a tier 10 gone from the game. And, you know, we've still got a few minutes left to see if that actually comes in. Some blind fire coming in for NSS onto Hellraisers on those positions. Nesqui is in an unusual bush, and he's got another like 6,000 bushes along that road to choose on, so it's going to take another, let's say, 3 days until he actually gets the hit.
Exactly. There needs to be some actual information gained here. Can't be just his passive attempts at trying to spot people, but look at this, like, we see Beowulf moving forward, Dez as well. They're not spotting anything. They themselves are just being lit, so Hellraisers have slowly inched their way forward on this zero line, taken that control. Nesqui obviously needing to vary his position every now and then, but it's comfortable for Hellraisers. And NSS, no, I keep getting spotted. I can't peek around this corner. I can't find them because they keep spotting me and lighting me up. I don't know where they are, and they can shoot me to pieces. And you can see Des now copying a couple hits. Shadow wants to move up towards that zero line as well. He will try to find Nesqui, at least maybe for Levanta, but again, he has to go so far forward to get that info, and NSS are just going to be chunked down.
Yeah, this is not going well at all for them. 3 minutes left. They've about 4,000, 5,000 hit points almost down. They're starting to lose the momentum a little bit, and they're losing the time as well. And honestly, this is looking very much like a 2-0 Hellraisers on Ruinberg. They're starting to clump themselves down towards the south. They got the Conqueror gun carriage, the Waffentrager up north, maybe to try and predict and take down that counter-rotate, which come from NSS from those slightly faster tanks.
So here comes the play. Applewell's taking quite a lot of damage there from showing himself in that zero line, but Lolvo can take a shot at Dez, reset the cap, and not even be spotted. There's a lot of protection, a lot of safety for those tanks up there. Levanta needs to start to get some damage across. They need to deal with Nesqui as well, who is going to spot the rest of NSS as they try and position closer to the cap to assist. Monty now has decided to head in towards the cityscape and see if he can spot out anyone sitting back here as well. As he rounds the corner, he may, in fact, find some information. But again, it has seemed like NSS have tried to abscond for the most part. He's not going to find a Conqueror just yet, and the Waffentrager has managed to avoid the scouting run of Monty.
I mean, I think they should have just gambled a little bit and put the Conqueror and the Waffentrager in the cap up north, and then just try and distract the rest of Hellraisers. I mean, it worked for Hellraisers when they're on the attack, so it could have worked for them as well. Designate now pretty low. He's got to try and get into more safe position, and Levanter's got some great angles onto these two. He could do some serious damage.
This could hurt. The shot's going to come out in just a second. I don't know if Hellraisers are ready for it. It's coming in. That's a big hit. Oh dear, Near You falls down. That might be what NSS need, but don't get too excited.
Shotnik's on the side as well.
They need more damage than that. Shotnik might have some shots on towards Nuclear as well. That hits hard, but is it going to hit hard enough? Is there enough time for NSS to make this one happen? Shotnik's still looking for his little opportunity to make some damage happen. They've dealt with Nesqui now as well, but Hellraisers still healthy enough to continue to carry on here. It is a 5v5, but the points in the favor of the team in red here. Lovo backing up. They know they just need to reset. They just need to survive. Hellraisers a little bit rocked by that Artie shot coming in, but they just got to hold on now. But here comes the cap. It's all or nothing for NSS.
NSS just putting everything in one basket, trying to keep those two tanks in there. Shotnik could have gone forwards with a Waffentrager, but he decided not to. He's in the cap.
How are they going to reset? Applewell's the closest tank right now. They need Monty, the lightweight, to come through and try and deal with Shotnik as well. Easy enough to penetrate, of course, in that 54 lightweight, and Levanter is helping out a little bit. Monty takes a big hit coming in from that Waffentrager. Needs to pick this corner eventually. There's a couple of seconds still for him, even if he just spots for the FV215B that's up on a hill. But there's the reset. Crucial one from Monty. He's getting the trash talk started as the rest of Hellraisers converge on this northern cap. Even Applewell now getting involved.
Yeah, this is game over right now. They can't cap anymore. A couple of seconds off. They need a third tank in that one to actually get it done and dusted. Lovu takes care of Evil Granny as well.
30 seconds, yeah, definitely no time at all. NSS down to 3 players here, and Hellraisers have played it safe. They played it correctly. It was a bit scary there as Levanter finally started to wake up, and that's a big direct fire shot as well, but unfortunately it's too little, too damn late.
Yeah, this is game over. 5 versus 2. The time runs out, and Hellraisers put another round on the board. It's going to be 2-0 for them after Ruinberg. Fantastic work on the first round on the attacking side of Ruinberg. I felt like NSS kind of played a little bit badly. I think they got a little bit caught up in those positions. They overthought those positions, didn't really adapt and survive at the end of the day, and Hellraisers will punish you for that every single day of the week. Doesn't matter if it's 4 AM with 0 hours sleep, they'll do it regardless. They are machines. But yeah, I mean, NSS 2-0 on Ruinberg. It's definitely not what they were expecting. Seems like they're still a little bit weak after that pretty close game against Simp, perhaps.
What's the deal? Tell me about this. We saw NSS eventually start to go for something. It wasn't actually on the back of anything that Levanter did on that artillery. They finally started to make a move towards the 0 line and get some pressure on the cap. Was this just a little bit too late?
Yeah, I think they'd already lost quite a lot at this point. And, you know, when you're in Ruinberg, you need to have a lot of advantage to actually go in and win it. This is obviously a crucial shot, but still, I think Hellraisers knew that even if the shot does a lot of damage, which it does, as long as it doesn't one-shot the 113, which it doesn't, they should be okay. You can see it's 600 and 900, almost 1,000, 1.6K, but still, they need tanks out of the game. That 113 survived to the end, played very well to keep its Shotnik's gun out of the position, and Hellraisers just hang on towards the end. I think if there's a little bit more time, NSS could have played around with it, play a little bit more stable, but still they were like 2,000 or 3,000 hit points behind. And
we did see Shotnik as well in the northern side of initially trying to go for some back shots on towards those 2 tanks on the corner. Levanter was there, and then the cap actually was looking pretty good, but the one factor they didn't consider was Montiablo. He was in the city, he was a loose end, he was able to roam and spot. Otherwise, Applewell would have had trouble spotting that Waffentrager. But speaking of the man himself, 4K for him. Levanter hitting hard, but unfortunately just not enough, or maybe too late in the piece.
Yeah, a little bit too late. He did that 1.6K damage, and he did the damage at the end with a direct fire. Direct fire damage at the end was of no consequence. They would have lost anyway, so you can take like almost 1,000 really damage off that score. But still, I mean, he's doing 2.6K basically. Maybe the rest of his team should have also done a lot, but they were playing around Levanter, and they wanted Levanter to get that one shot. They saw how effective Simp were when they were playing them with the artillery piece, the M40, M43, but Simp were using that tier 8. It's not a tier 10. You saw how ineffective Lovo was in that AMX 3090. Just got absolutely wrecked trying to go into that cap, and he was cancelled out, and that's a massive blow for NSS. And
you saw how much NSS were trying to supplement the rest of their direct firepower, having spent 10 tier points on that piece of artillery, which is always going to be conditional how well it does. They had to bring in 2 Waffentragers as well. They weren't mobile, but perhaps the story will be a little bit different here on Ghost Town. We've seen some good games on this one already. Hellraisers just fell to Na'Vi on this one as well. It wasn't pretty in those last couple of rounds, as where Na'Vi came out with a 5-3. So maybe a little bit of a chance here for NSS to bring things back in their corner.
Yeah, I think they have a real chance here. I mean, NSS, great team individually, really flawless, and as long as they play together really well, they should be okay. I mean, NSS's biggest strength compared to Na'Vi's aggression and their ability to fight well together. They will be able to go for those brawls, and they will be able to win them. They're definitely the better brawling team. They just have to bring that to bear. They have to make sure they're not playing a little bit scared, worrying about those 2 rounds. Just go round by round, go forwards into Ghost Town with a bit of confidence, go for something unusual, and just surprise Hellraisers, because they did look weak, as you mentioned, against Na'Vi on this map.
So let's see now, onto the second map. Not So Serious bring it back into their corridor, or will the Hellraisers be waiting at the gates to take them under their control? Tank picks here for you guys. There's double Waffentrager here for the Hellraisers, and an ST1 picked up for Nuki.
Yeah, nice little lineup from both teams. I thought the way Na'Vi with the triple Waffentrager wasn't great against Kazna, but I think generally the accepted lineup is 2. When you're on the attacking or defensive side, doesn't really matter. Normally you see it on the attack. I mean, 113 is pretty much a standard ST1, very effective at side scraping, very hard to penetrate with
big
the
old
space
head
armor.
as well.
Exactly, you can do a lot of damage. WZ111, I mean...
Like the Oliver Maxfield of water tanks.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, great. Good one. I'm more like the Conqueror gun carriage. I do damage from above. Death from above.
It's got a really short gun, doesn't it, that one?
Good one.
Makes sense, doesn't it? All right, well, I'll change it. You can be the Conqueror gun carriage. That's
Cheers,
fine.
mate.
Anyway, for the most part, Hellraisers here are set up into the north side.
Very wide.
Lovo. That's all that matters at the end of the day. It's about the caliber, In the game of World of Tanks, how long the gun is doesn't matter. About how hard it hits.
Exactly. Lovo now getting spotted. Evil Granny in the background there, getting some good damage. A bit of an exchange. I mean, that FE215B a lot more accurate. We'll always be able to get those shots. I mean, it's a bit of back and forwards. Caps on the way to WZ111. I'm just going to call it WZ1. It's too hard to say 3 ones in a row. But yeah, I mean, they're very low to the ground. Russian tanks, often the Russian military doctrine has the tanks low to the floor. Doesn't help the crew, but it doesn't matter. It's a virtual game. Don't really have any crew in there. Caps really effectively brought down. I mean, 12 seconds left. There's got to be a reply here from NSS. They don't have artillery.
Yeah, and they've got no one in the north, no one at 8-3 to spot this out or actually get any shots over to reset. So this could get a little bit close. There's no one from NSS really close enough. Evil Granny has to give himself up and get up close. Hellraisers look to get this cap done, and there's nothing that NSS can do. Too late to the party. No cake left for you, and Hellraisers take their third.
Unbelievable. I mean, that's just embarrassing from NSS there. Tilting like hell. I mean, come on. They can't let themselves be capped like that. Hellraisers, okay, they've been capped a few times in this grand finals, but the tactic was obvious. They got spotted early on. Just sitting there, 113, 2 WZ1s. And they just moved too late. The FE215B, they worry about some sort of positional play. But when he actually got the shot off, it hit, but he didn't reset, and he was already too late. So yeah, very bad round from NSS there, and very sloppy stuff.
What to say about that one, except NSS slipping up there a little bit. 113s, of course. Talking about this tank doctrine of being close to the ground, it's quite important there because that cap is one of the most undulating in terms of how the ground is in the game. You can actually hide or hull down on the cap itself, and that's why Hellraisers wanted to push 3 113s on there, put pressure on, but also make it really, really hard to dig them out.
Yeah, it's fantastic work. I mean, this kind of tactic is not really one you necessarily consider because it's just unusual. But we've seen it being pretty effective in the grand finals so far. I think this is the 3rd time we've seen a cheeky cat coming out. Evil Granny moves too late. There's no one else there from Hellraisers. They're all like flank you around as plan B. So yeah, just bad. I mean, Na'Vi, for instance, put the RU-251 on the left shower up and towards the hills. Maybe they should have done the same. But 3-0 for Hellraisers. It's not game over for NSS right now, but it does tell us that they are severely behind. They're not playing particularly well. There's not been a single impressive round for an NSS. Nothing unusual, and that's not good news at all.
Obviously, I misspoke as well. It wasn't 3 113s. It was 2 WZ114s there, and well, not a lot of damage needed to be done. One was 75. That's all that was necessary here. And yeah, most of the NSS guys not even got towards the battle. And honestly, that's the way it happens. This game isn't just a matter of playing deathmatch or whatever you want to call it, just try and get to grips with one another. No. Sometimes we see these teams play around these objectives. Like Prohorovka, maybe not. They might go for a brawl, but Ghost Town is a very well-made map that allows for both approaches, and Hellraiser's definitely not messing around there as well. So, okay, so outside, bro, the psychological factor, because I feel like we lean on that question quite a lot here. NSS, go on the attacking side. We know they like to get aggressive. Do you really feel, taking their temperature now of the last few games, that they can afford to go for a brawl against Hellraisers?
They have to. I think they have to. I mean, they've not played well. They've been really passive every single round. Even on, you know, attacking Ruinberg, they played really passively. They need to go for these brawls. They need to be going in for the exchanges. They need to be making Hellraisers play on the terms which they're most comfortable with. Otherwise, they're just going to end up losing. I mean, Hellraisers like Na'Vi, they play the standard World of Tanks, and they made this style of World of Tanks work. Every other team has been copying the two top teams in the world. Yep. So you can't really play them at their own game.
Well, the question is, what is NSS's game going to be? Do they have their own one? Is it a cheap counterfeit, a copy of another team, or can they put something together, brew something up, and bring it out to play? Hellraisers now as well stand to go to match point with a win here. And NSS bring the double Waffentragers in here as well. Double Conqueror for both teams. And again, we do see some loose ends in terms of Nuclear being able to roam free on the Batchat. Get some cover now. NSS don't have any Batchat here as well. They've got no... I guess they got a Waffentrager off towards the side, but it's not exactly mobile.
No, it's not. It's a pretty heavy lineup, and I do like it. I think this is what NSS need. They just need to charge in, but great little side shot. The Batchat just charges straight through. Nuclear has actually found his way onto the back of NSS. That's going to be disastrous, and you can see how Hellraisers just predicted this correctly. They're just coming in for a surround on NSS. They've got to be very careful they don't get kind of put into a hole.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of cheaters cornering a Bison or something like that. You don't really want to go straight in. Get around them, get positions and fire, and this is not looking good for NSS at all. The shots are coming in. Hellraisers have the positions, but NSS now fighting. They're the cornered Cougar. They're going to spring forth and try and break free of this little hold here, and that's the best way to break a pincer. Go through one of the arms. Levanta manages to get on towards near you. That's a Waffentrager down, but Evil Granny has seen better days. And Beowulf as well needs to back off around the corner. NSS realizing now what they've walked into. Can they fight their way out? Dez gets tracked up out in the open. He goes low. Nuclear now going to be coming back in from the sides here. No point in base capturing, but look at the push. They might have a bit of an overmatch here. NSS may have found the right time to fight. Aquawow's going to go down. Now they're going to be looking towards Lovo. Hellraisers might have just slipped up here a little bit, trying to take a fight against a team who loves to get in your face.
And Nuclear's actually shot all his shells in the Batchat with full HP, but he has no damage left to do. Griffin, the Waffentrager, also on reload, albeit only a few seconds left on it. Let's see what these two autoloaders can do against the might of NSS, still with 5 tanks remaining.
Griffin can essentially line these guys up and go pop, 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 but he needs to make sure he can get the jump. Going to get around the side and get a bit of a flank here. At this stage now, NSS are free to set up for some sort of capture. Camp the area out, get good angles and positions, and Griffin's been spotted. The last hope for Hellraisers essentially in this particular round. He's only got the Batchat left out wide, and he's now down to a one-shot and got no damage back as a response. That Shadow gets the finish, and it's just Nuclear.
Brilliant stuff. Let's see if Nuclear, he's the best player in my opinion on Hellraisers. Can he clutch this? He's 5 versus 1, but they're all pretty low apart from that Waffentrager.
Again, wants to try and take some of these guys out, and he can. Nuclear, big effort potentially here for the Batchat. Gets one, gets the second. There's still 3 standing, and he's got 3 shells left, but he needs to avoid the flank. The Waffentrager pushes around the corner straight towards him, and he knows he needs to get out for now. Try and back away and fight another day. Great little shot on the backside, just over the shoulder as he heads out. See you later, mate. I'll be back for more.
Unbelievable play from Nuclear. You could see the level of play when we go in first person. He's just absolutely fantastic. He gets the reload. Let's see if he has enough time, to go in and actually get the last 3 sets. I don't think he does.
No, he's got to reload now, and this is such a clever play by NSS. Put all the tanks on the cap now. They're going to get there before he's able to reload. Nuclear, all he can do is like hope that NSS chase him out of the cap circle, but he can't fire. That's the tough part of being a Batchat in this situation. And despite Nuclear's defiant stand, NSS are going to post their first round.
Fantastic work from NSS. We are talking about how they just needed to go in for those engagements. They just picked a massive lineup. Hellraisers predicted that they would just push straight through the middle, but what we weren't seeing was the fantastic work from Levanta and that Waffentrager. He just pumped all 3,000, almost 3,000 damage, 2,800 into the side of Hellraisers that came around the corner. Good work with the Conquerors and the FV215Ps to pile in. Nuclear, I mean, at the end he did a good job, but at the end of the day, those single shot tanks started to work down those autoloaders once they started creeping around or moving around the map. That's why you pick heavy tanks on a city map like Ghost Town.
As they say, mess with the ball and you get the horns. Not so serious, pretty much had nothing to lose there as well and nothing to fear as a result. Great little brawl out. Found the overmatches. This is the problem as well. Pincers are all well and good. We'll see Nuclear here try and bring things back, and it was a couple of lovely
bushes
shots
there. So I mean, they're not really thick, but he still stays unspotted until he shoots, gets the first one easy as you like. But he realizes once he gets the second kill that, first of all, he can't reliably kill this guy with a Batchat gun or even hit him. So, and he doesn't have enough damage to take down all 3 tanks left. So he knows he either has to die and lose his situation just using these last 3 shells, or hope and pray that this Grafentrager just makes the wrong decision and decides to chase him.
I mean, with 2 shells, he could potentially have still reset the cap with 3 tanks on there, at least for a moment.
Yeah, but he would have died because that Waffentrager was in that position, and you know, okay, he would have got maybe a reset or maybe even shot all of his shells, but it still wouldn't have been possible. You know, that's the 3 versus 1 situation when you have tanks. I mean, 1 versus 5. I mean, that's just not possible unless there's massive screw-ups by NSS in that capping position. Like they decide to chase a Batchat or something, but NSS, okay, they've had some issues now in the last 3 rounds, but they're not going to make such a massive mistake.
Again, now NSS actually starting to get themselves a foothold back into this game. Need to just start to clamp down. Maybe.
Oh, Shadow's not Levanter who did that damage.
And the Waffentrager there as well. All the WTs up the top there, except for Levanter, who's did still a decent amount. And that fight, the way it did proceed. Again, it's probably the lower part of the damage table that will be the most telling in terms of everyone putting in a team effort there as well. Nesby and Monty getting not a lot done at all. To be fair, Nookie got quite shut down, so it was close in that aspect. But again, a team that has nothing to lose is nothing to fear, and not so serious now as well. Can they keep going for this kind of aggressive player? Is it a one and done kind of thing?
But you could see how NSS just making the right decisions there, because Nesquik pushed in on his own with the 113, and that's probably what, you know, gave the game to NSS. But he was pushing in. His other teammates who were on the right side, they should have just pushed in and actually met NSS in a 1 versus 1 brawl. But they didn't. They all started splitting up, and that's what NSS really has to focus on in the next few games. Just staying together, going in for the brawls, trying to get some damage, and make sure they keep the pressure onto Hellraiser as much as possible as we do move on to Mines.
What an interesting one this will be, and again, potentially the last map. We don't see Hellraisers being able to move to match point just yet, so definitely in the balance. What's your take? I mean, we've seen teams play this so differently, mostly though towards that western side, Ollie, and try and set up a cap and screen that one here. Hill play, the dynamic of Hill play seems to have changed so much now that you can get up the hill without rushing the middle of the map.
Yeah, you can just boost up. We've seen the Batchats do that before. Sometimes that second tank, because it's not getting pushed up, will not successfully make the boost. We've already seen that from Hellraisers. But Conqueror gun carriage coming out for Levanter again. Didn't work on the attack on Ruinberg, but Mines is a much more kind of artillery-friendly map in some respects, and you know, if he can hit 1 or 2 of those shells on these lighter tanks from NSS, disastrous. Hellraiser, sorry.
Both teams actually bringing out the Rheinmetall Borsig Waffentrager, the tier 8 version, of course, of the E100 variant. So interesting there as well. Maybe not as notable as Levanter as well. We've seen artillery even last season be such a massive factor on this map. Let's see, though, if NSS can control it. This way, though, Levanter's targets are going to be a little bit easier to find or spot out, as Mines is somewhat of a smaller and easier to navigate map, and already he's set his sights towards the middle.
Yeah, he's just trying to find out some tanks, and, you know, the thing is, with the Conqueror, we mentioned on Ruinberg, it's got a howitzer, so he can shoot down on angles which most of the other tanks' artillery pieces won't be able to do. For instance, the 261, Lorraine 15551, and SU 142 as well wouldn't be able to hit those shells. But you can see our Razors just immediately reacting to that. They've got some faster tanks. They just need to make sure the slower ones are hiding. Griffin in the background staying as close as he can towards that hill so he doesn't get hit by Levanter. And maybe Levanter a little bit later on, once he's sussed out, okay, Hellraisers aren't going aggressive, he'll start blind shooting.
Well, he definitely doesn't want to waste his time now, especially it's so annoying when you take a shot as artillery, a blind one at that, and then an opponent blinks into existence in an angle you could easily have shot at. So patience is key here for Levanter if he wants to line this up. And again, it does seem like NSS are adamant on playing around him. This is incredibly defensive setup for them, especially in an attacking team. 1-1-13 out to the Western Island. That's what Levanter now going to be checking out as a Batchat, as Nesquik pushing on that one. Oh, careful, mate. There are a couple of targets.
See if he clicks. Let's see if he clicks. This is going to be a risk.
Can he get over that rock with that angle?
No, no, no. It'll be splash.
He's up on a hill, but still he can do a lot, especially if those objects are going to linger on the island here as well. It may be a blind shot, or maybe he's going to look at something else on the hill. So this is the tough part. It's like,
should have just clicked.
Yeah, which shot do you take? Do I just go for it and wait? It's 40 seconds odd where Levanter can't do anything. So again, you've got to be very, very selective on the shots you take.
The thing is, I mean, the Conqueror gun carriage, decent aim down time considering the size of the gun. That's because of the size of the superstructure, but it's not that fast. But this push coming out from NSS.
Yeah, Nuclear's going to be caught here, no doubt about it. But the real question is, what's the, I guess, the repayment going to have to be here for NSS? Evil Granny didn't completely push the hill. These IS-7s now, which we don't see much of lately, are able to hold down on the hill and be pretty solid. He's back to the garage. He's done with this game. Hopefully not, though, as Evil Granny and Beowulf there as well, taking control of middle there as well. So NSS get position. Shotnik goes very, very low, and that's a good shot from Nookie in the back to slap one towards Nesqui. Not a terrible start from NSS.
A really good start. That 12.8 is paying dividends right now for Nuki. And one of the things about the Borsig is the fact that it's just got a great camo rating. It's an open top tank. Put a camo net on it, coated optics or binos, and you're really laughing. It's going to be very hard to spot indeed. And that's what they're counting on in that bush, in that position. Even though the other team might have the hill and still be able to provide some good defensive fire. But you actually see the flank now coming around. Hellraisers are saying, okay, we might be at disadvantage at this point in time. Let's try and find a way into NSS. Let's surprise them, not allow Levanta to shoot those tanks on the lower ground.
Griffin trying to flank. He's going to be proxy spotted there eventually, but he's actually able to get that kill, clean up. Shotnik was very, very low, but now he might be caught here. This is an angle that Levanta can fire towards, so a lot of risk for Griffin to try and get out of this spot. Levanta should have more confidence about firing in that direction, but right now he's waiting for the push on towards the hill. There's more things for him to worry about right now as Near You is coming forward. A couple of shots are coming in towards him. Levanta's just taken one as well. Didn't really yield the result he would have liked. His Evil Granny going very low, just down to a slither of health now. He's going to be surrounded. Lovo and Nesqui are up on the hill. NSS starting to lose numbers now. Indeed, as Beowulf is on his own on the hill. He's currently reloading. He's going to deal with two tanks. We're just going to get around and find his weak spots. You can see straight away Nesqui goes for the side, goes for the tracks, shots in, and that IS-7 can't do a damn thing.
And Levanta can't even help him right now. He can't shoot behind that position. That's really disastrous. Hellraiser's starting to really march ahead in this game. They have more tanks, they have more HP, and Nuki's also been spotted.
Yep, finally he had to come forward and get that shot towards Griffin. Although the Waffentrager does fall, the damage has already been done. Hellraiser's here with 5 tanks to work with. We can see the Des and Shadow have to pretty much stick together right now, and all map control has been surrendered. Levanta has to try and do something with his position, but again, he has been very, very selective, maybe over-selective with some of these shots he's been taking. You miss every shot you don't go for, of course, but he has really been taking that to the next level and just been a bit too passive.
And he's taken the shots which Hellraiser baited. In that shot against the Waffentrager, he only splashed it. As soon as Hellraiser saw that, they just pushed up the hill. They took care of the IS-7, no problem, and then moved on to Beowulf in the second IS-7. So perfect bait from them. They knew the artillery piece won't be in position, and just not good for Levanta. The 2 rounds he's had, he might have high damage count back, but his team hasn't won the game, and Shadows gets caught out.
Yeah, he's been pressured by Niu as well, who just was able to let a whole clip go into that 113 as he tried to draw himself back. That's bad news. NSS really needed Shadow to be healthy at this stage, to be able to soak up some damage, but that one came across for free, and it's a nightmare now for Not So Serious to try and drag their way back in. The health point difference is considerable. Hellraisers have 5 very healthy looking tanks here to work with, and map control, and the high ground with Lovo. Des and Shadow forced down. I think this one is going to be wrapped up pretty darn soon. Yeah,
this is going to be game over surely. Near You just pounding into the FE215B. Only does 1 connecting shell and is 1 damaging shell. Obviously that 200 or 300 odd penetration is not really going to be able to penetrate the front of those tanks reliably at that kind of distance. You know, trying to aim for the weak spots is always hard. Nesqui just going to head off the hill. I think Hellraiser's starting to say, okay, we're so far ahead, let's just push in and finish this game.
Yeah, and you can see it's Nigu's just been causing a lot of heartache for Shadow. He can't even go up the hill. He doesn't want to reverse up there. He'll be shot from behind. 1 TVP causing a heck of a lot of issues here for NSS, but it's just the icing on the cake at this stage for Hellraisers, who have this one, again, so much control over this. Nigu just going to pump them in and try and get finish on this last shot, and he does get the kill, and bad news is Shadow will finally fall. Nesqui now going to start to tighten things up a little bit. Nookie being spotted. Of course, Levanta won't be seen for a while, but I mean, it doesn't matter. With no map control, NSS can't spot for him. It's all blind shots or trying to frantically fire at moving tanks.
Yeah, this is so bad for NSS. There's been some really bad rounds now, and they've allowed Hellraiser just go into match point. Hellraiser's a lot of breathing room. They're actually smiling, they're laughing. I can see their confidence in their play. Nesqui just goes in, takes care of Nuki. No problem at all. Team captain Levanta left in that Conqueror gun carriage with no reload.
All done and dusted. Applewell does get the final kill there, and this will be a match point coming up for Hellraisers. Not to say that they haven't worked with it, but many would have hoped that NSS would have tested them further up until this point. The defending round on Mines was solid, well drilled and well executed from the Hellraisers. NSS just had to run themselves at them, and they broke like water upon a cliff.
I mean, this is ridiculous for NSS. We're not used to this kind of play from them. I mean, normally NSS is going forwards, challenging, surprising Na'Vi, surprising Hellraisers, surprising these top teams. Now they're just sitting back, waiting for Levanta, maybe overthinking the situations, thinking, okay, every team knows we're going to be going aggressive, so let's do the exact opposite and see if that wins us the games. Unpredictability. But it doesn't matter. Hellraiser has the experience to go against this kind of tactic, and Levanta just not doing the damage necessary to really justify having a tier 10 artillery piece.
I don't know what he was trying to pull out of his nose earlier on there on camera, but let's hope it's enough to give NSS a new lease on life in this series. This is the initial push here as well, where Evil Granny's backed up, and that's the shot coming in. So you can
see the shot coming in, just completely missing. That one shot, which could have made a difference in this match, just sailing past Hellraisers into the spawn, basically. It wasn't even close.
That is the risk you take bringing an artillery onto any map.
Well, that's why you take a Lorraine or something. I mean, I just think M40, M43, you got 1,850 damage. You don't need 2.2k. And you still have, okay, the Conqueror's more accurate and everything. It has a lot of pluses, but the M40, M43 is good enough, lads. Come on.
This is coming from an artillery player as well. Someone who would love to see
I'm going to get lynched outside if you keep on saying that.
Yeah, so everyone's obviously enjoying the artillery play in chat. Big game from Niu. We knew that he was just an absolute nightmare for Not So Serious to deal with. Set up on that island on the western side of the map. They couldn't go forward, they couldn't go back, and Niu was going to give it to them either way. Definitely rough times.
Yeah, I mean, half of Hellraisers didn't even have to do that much damage, and they still won. But half of NSS didn't even do any damage, and yeah, they lost disastrously.
Levanta with like some splash, like 100-odd damage. I mean, I think it was a 113 there as well with sub 400 damage.
It's like the amount of damage when you stub your toe against something. It kind of hurts a little bit, but it's not really going to do anything in the end of the day. And to be honest, it's really a metaphor for what's happened in this whole match for NSS. They've, Hellraisers have stubbed their toe. That's about it. That's the only damage they really received, and they're on match point for it.
It's funny what the Hellraisers have fought through to get here, but just NSS seem to be giving so much ground. Let's jump into what could be the last round here. Hellraisers gonna be on the attack. They want to secure their spot in the final, and this is the way to do it. Gonna run over the top of NSS on the defending side in blue, and they must hold on.
I wonder if Hellraiser's just gonna go straight in and go for the brawl. NSS have got a slightly slower lineup with the 113s and a T110E5, so they won't be able to get that middle position. But of course, that T110, the American Tier 10 heavy tank, will be able to hold the middle area very effectively as we go into this match. And here's Hellraisers to egress forwards.
They're going to make the hill push here. A little bit of early damage coming out towards Applewell and Monty, but not at this stage much to write home about. If it keeps coming in these waves, though, it could be a problem. The ammo rack on towards Monty. 113 gets completely cancelled out as his turret is blown asunder, and now Lovo being forced back as well. This is NSS. They would like a good fight, and it looks like Hellraisers are going to give it to them, but maybe not in the way that they hoped. Applewell going to be surrounded out now as well, off towards the side of Nesqui to get on towards Shotnik, and Nuclear gets involved now as well. They're trying to hang on, but NSS are pressing the advantage. It's a huge hit point advantage with an ammo rack coming in. Des, a couple shots from the side, but NSS look to push forward and get this one done.
All the three reloaders from Hellraisers are just clipping right now. They have no potential damage to do. NSS can just surge forwards. They can get the positions on the hill. They can get the surround. They can chase.
Looks like Griffin now as well, just trying to make something of this one here. He's got a T49 up on towards that hill. But trying to fire at him is the least of his problems right now, as Levanta would love to get a cheeky little peek out and a massive shot. It's not a well-armored tank, the TVP, and one little shot could do the job. Unfortunately, Levanta pulling a little bit early and missing on that one. It is going to be the cleanup crew coming in now as well. The janitorial squad, as it were. Shadow gets the finish on towards Griffin. There's just Nuclear and Nesqui left now, and they're having to back away. Every time Hellraisers try and give NSS a down and dirty fight, it blows up in their face, just like Nesqui's tank.
NSS just, when they play aggressively, they win. Or more importantly, actually more specifically, when Hellraisers play aggressively, they lose. NSS just going forwards. Okay, they got the Amarak into Monty. It was obviously a massive deal, just taking down a 113 straight away. But Monty, he's playing a 113. Guys, I mean, this is one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why you probably shy away from the 113 occasionally, because okay, maybe you're not going to get Amarak every round, but seriously, when I play, it happens like every 3 shells. My Amarak gets taken out, or my driver gets killed, or my commander goes down. You know, it's a really fragile tank, and it will be NSS finally to put a round on the board. Obviously, they had their last one on Ghost Town.
Well, boys, I think we know what NSS are good at this stage. Despite a little bit of good fortune coming out from the ammo rack, again, they were still ahead by about 5k hit points. That really compounded itself quickly, and the first peaks from Hellraisers were hap-handed. They didn't work out at all. Again, not so serious, show that they can at least hold their ground here up against Hellraisers, who wanted to get things done here, but that was the trap really as well. NSS love this kind of peak. Look at the amount of damage they took already off the back of this one, and Monty doesn't last long.
392. He probably wasn't Amaraked at that point. I'm not sure. We can't see there. Let's see how much damage he receives before he gets Amaraked, or if it's immediate. To see. This is really effective positioning for an NSS. So 2 shots, third shot, Amaraked. So he probably gets Amaraked on the second one. The third one comes in for the TVP with 1.5 second time between shots. Hits it again, blows it up. That Chinese tank just gets absolutely smashed, and NSS just surge forwards. But to be honest, NSS with a T110E5 probably would have won that situation anyway, because Nesku was actually coming from behind in the bat chat.
Now you know the downside to the 113 that is so popular right now. Of course, a tank that is so versatile has to have a few weak points. And, well, apparently it seems like NSS found it in that one there as well. Good damage from Shadow there, 4k for him. 3 kills off the back of that one. And those early peaks definitely in favor of NSS. So Hellraisers now probably just need to settle a bit. I mean, they wanted to go for a fight. They should probably know by now that that's not really the viable option. They seem to be far better at isolating and choking, not so serious out with the slow game. They've got to stick to it.
Yeah, exactly. They've just got to try and use NSS's lineup choices to their best advantage and see if they can actually exploit them in any way, shape, or form. But that's Mines done and dusted. We're going to move on to Cliff, our 4th map. After that, it's going to be Steps as a tiebreaker, which is actually not in the realms of impossibility, as NSS seem to, you can see on their faces there, Levanta, the guy with the purple glasses, has kind of settled a little bit more. He looks more confident. You can see he's itching to get into this next round.
Well, we've seen how Cliff has played out the last few times, ladies and gentlemen. The scene of many nail-biters in the history of the WGL, and not excluding this tournament as well. Yesterday was an epic finish there with Kazza and Eclipse, but this map, we see Hellraisers definitely try and press Na'Vi way earlier on in the tournament. Didn't work. And of course, this kind of map is a great one for a team who gets good position and allows a team to push forward into a bit of a set play here. We saw Kazna try and mess with Na'Vi a bit by pushing forward on from the northern side on this map. Didn't work out at all. So you need to be wary of where your enemy's set up, and sometimes it's just not viable to go for the brawl.
No, it's not. I mean, Cliff is, if anything, a gamble. I mean, it's so unpredictable. You could find yourself with 2 tanks just pushing randomly from the one line, or you could push all tanks there and you could find nothing. I mean, there's so many different variations, but at the end of the day, every single variation, you need to push. So you've only got like 4 or 5 choices at the end of the day, and it could be a whole team there, or it could just be 1 or 2 tanks. We've seen quite a lot of logical play at the grand finals from Cliff. We've seen a lot of interesting positions, expecting the team to push in X position and having some tanks to provide some crossfire. We've had some fantastic work on the hill. Having that higher ground, of course, very important if you have the cliff area. But I think NSS now has the potential of bringing up these 2 rounds. If they go for the brawls, they pick the right lineups. They don't fanny about with any MX50Bs or Lorraines, that we've already seen this grand finals yesterday in the group stages. I think they can actually do some damage. They can get some rounds back.
So maybe no more Conqueror gun carriage?
I just don't want to say it. NSS just could be like, Levanta, I've got it, and then he could just wreck like 5 faces. We've seen like the M40 being effective on this map, on and off.
Yeah, we've seen Eurofish go for it quite a few times for Kazna. I mean, is the randomness that we've seen so far from the artillery of NSS, is it the arty itself, or is it Levanta? I
think Levanta has the same problem as Drynitz. Okay, well, not necessarily the same problem, because when you're tier 10, you can't just click. You need to actually do damage. So at the end of the day, you probably shouldn't be gambling too much. With the M40, M43, if you do 0 damage, you're still an afterthought for the rest of the team. It's still not the main tactic of the M40, M43 to work it down unless you're Wombat. So, yeah. But I still think gambling's better. It's better, when as an artillery player, when the other player's going to go unspotted, you just wait until that reticle goes down to as little as possible, then you left click and see if it hits.
Well, in terms of artillery, no gambles here, but both teams taking the brawler lineups, and it's a lot of bat chats here for the Hellraisers. So I feel like I can hear the jiggle of dice about to be thrown here. Don't know by who, as Hellraisers want to push in towards the middle, but it's a very light lineup.
Yeah, Monty actually going for a little bit of a roam down. Doesn't really receive too much damage. We saw how effective this man is in the RU251. against Tornado in the first match of today, and you can see actually they're trying to counter him by taking him out early on.
He's on fire as well. That's not a good result, and there's a very aggressive push actually on the western side for NSS. They've got so much control now of that part of the map, and Nesquik just going to get completely deleted here. Shadow comes up from behind, gets the final blow. Granny only took about half of his health there, and NSS, they love to fight, and they're just embodying that fact right now, pressing forward. We see Levanta and Dez going a little bit low here, but Hellraisers are down to 4 tanks already. They're going to lose them pretty darn quickly at this rate. There's more guns available for NSS, but somehow this is being kept so close even at this point. Shotnik going low. Has his Applewell even lower, but that TVP's on reload. Applewell knows he can't hang around. The TVP's going to be reloaded before he will. And now we have that awkward moment of having the reload cycles come up for these autoloaders, especially nasty for Hellraisers, who have pretty much all bat chats, and that's, well, 30 plus seconds sometimes reload.
You can see the bat chat, though, it's faster than the TVP. There's a few rocks and turns you have to make in the bat chat where you can actually lose speed to the TVP. But it doesn't matter in the end. Applewell's amazing drive, and Shotnik can't keep up with him. And this is good for the Hellraisers. They've reset the fight after going down pretty significantly at the beginning. They've allowed their bat chats to reload, and let's see if they can actually hold on. Shadows has got to be careful. He's very healthy. He's the most important key point here for NSS to try and close this match out.
And you can see now Nuclear trying to make his way towards Evil Granny, and Evil Granny trying to fight a fight on 2 fronts, I guess, trying to push down. It's a little bit risky, and he's missing a lot of shots here. He needs to connect immediately and get rid of Nuclear. He does. Nuclear falls, but Evil Granny only has 2 shots left to go. Lolvo is healthy, but Applewell is completely the opposite of that. Just 2 takes for Hellraisers to work with. 4 up for NSS. The Shadow picks off Applewell, leaving this man from Belarus on his own.
He's just going to have to try and fight as much as he can. Give his team some talking time. Okay, what went right, what went wrong, what can we change in the next round on Cliff? But it's going to be game over. NSS are going to put another round, a second round in a row on the board and bring it 4-3. Hellraisers still on match point, though.
Yeah, so close, but the frustration, you know that victory is so close to your grasp, and when you start to feel that grasp slip, it's a very, very maddening experience. Now, Shadow's going to come and deal the final blow, and NSS keep themselves in this one. Not only that, but take them 1 round away from sending this to a tiebreaker.
I can't wait. We've seen already 2 tiebreakers today. Let's see if we can see a third one. It would be fitting from the two best teams in the CIS region, apart from Na'Vi. These are definitely the second and third best teams. Fantastic work from both, and I think NSS have settled themselves. You could see they're just going for the fights. They're not doing anything too risky. They're just going in, saying Hellraisers, okay, let's see what happens when we just go 7 versus 7 in the middle of Cliff and see if we can win it. But Monty going on the lower side in the 1 line, getting caught out, giving NSS some control here. This goes a little bit bad for NSS, but because they went so aggressive with the bat chat onto Nesquik at the beginning, they've got the tier 10 tank advantage at this point in time. Applewell goes a little bit aggressive here, but Nuki plays it perfectly. He just goes for Nuclear because he knows Applewell is actually on reload now. Yeah,
and you can see the Nuclear expends that shot towards Nuki. Now he himself is on reload, and that was that weird window for Hellraisers, who were predominantly bat chat based. Remember, the TVP has like a 30% faster reload time. I mean, I'm approximating here slightly, but it's quite significant. Yeah. So they were ready to get back into the fight before Hellraisers.
Exactly. I mean, that's the TVP, okay. You're only going to do 1,260 damage versus 2,000, but you got a 25-second reload in the TVP versus 35 seconds from the old bat chat. And the gun is just better. I mean, it's not great, but it's simply better. You can see how effective it is in those 12 shots and 3,133 damage from Shotnik.
Yeah, the fact that he could get 3 clips out in a TVP is a big deal. Of course, going further down the list, Monty getting caught out fairly early. Dez as well got jumped on. Would have been very, very handy to have that TVP hang around a little bit longer for NSS. But the initial fight, the Western push, looked good. Things got a little bit awkward there as well, but it just seemed like the extra gun in the game, or the extra guns in the game for NSS, gave them what they needed. Now, Ollie, we're going to go to the other side of this one. But we've seen both these teams play around the objectives. They don't give a damn about trying to cap out. They're fighting in the middle. So what really difference does it make what side NSS are fighting from here? They seem to be so much better at brawling than HR right now.
Yeah, Cliff is not really a defense bias map. It was actually 50-50 for a lot of the season, in the EU at least. So again, it's going to be all about the brawl. We've seen Hellraiser with this massive bat chat stack. But we got an Object 140 from NSS, and I think that's a little bit of a counter. If they can keep that Object 140 in the game for a long enough time, Hellraiser are going to start to get punished for it. So Hellraisers need to deal a crucial blow, a killing blow towards NSS in this first 1.5 to 2 minutes of the round. Otherwise, it could go badly for them.
Again, NSS valuing this side of the map, the western area, to try and take control of it here. And it's a very much a skeleton crew. for them on the east is just that one tank close towards the hill. And Hellraisers, a couple of them, just a bit wary about maybe being flanked out here. Beowulf was lit, so, you know, giving away the game a little bit. The NSS are set up on this rock. We used to call it the donut back in the APAC region. Don't know what it is here, but Nesquik there does take a shot towards the side, but Hellraiser is now ready for this. NSS need to be able to spot these tanks on the hill effectively. That's why they've got a bat chat and a 2-5-1 towards the east, but again, Monty just slapped back off that hill as he tried to get up.
Yeah, both those two trying to get themselves up into that crucial position. Very annoying to deal with, but Evil Granny's just sitting there, and Hellraiser now have a choice. They know that Evil Granny's there. They don't have a lot of information on where the rest of Hellraisers are, so they could just push onto Evil Granny, and you can see they're actually doing that, but they get spotted super early on by Nuki.
And Griffin's taken a lot of damage as well. Nuki, yeah, he'll get some back in response, but he's hardly a centerpiece tank for NSS here, and the push is on for Hellraisers, but look around the corner. NSS coming up behind them with vengeance in their eyes and fire in their bellies. Nesquik is going to get pretty much completely nuked down, and they're going to press on next target after next target. Levanta coming forward, goes down towards half health, and Shadow will be working from the side to try and deal with Monty. The RU-251 is going to fall. NSS, slight lead here as the fight does continue.
I think Hellraisers actually have some great positions, though. Let's see what their reloads are like. Actually, Levanta coming off reload. Let's see if he can actually take that last shell. He does get taken down. NSS starts to surge forwards.
That's right. They're going to continue to come at this one. Near you now on reload. Griffin as well, just trying to get those shots away. Shotnik up on the hill. He's cut Near you down. He can't escape. The guy is going to be run into the ground at this rate as Shadow is going to be surrounded out. Misses that first shot towards Griffin, and Griffin just comes around the side and picks him up. This is a brawl if I've ever seen it. It's so close in health points right now. But Dez gets one in towards Applewell. Near you is so low, he can't participate. He doesn't even have the shots left, but there's Evil Granny going down. NSS needed him so badly, but Beowulf at least can respond. Lovo, though, has shots to go. So does Beowulf, but there's a 2v1 there. A little bit of an overmatch for Hellraisers there. Pick up that tank. It's now a 3v2.
Desnit just has to stay safe. He has to try and do the sustained damage for his team. Lovo actually on reload right now. He's trying to force that Object 140 back. Shotnik also has some shells to play around with. Let's see if they can take down Low.
Perfect timing here as well. That's why you want the 140. You can consistently get that damage down. But Griffin waiting off in the wings. Des needs to be careful, and so does Shotnik. If he peeks that hill too much, Griffin is going to make him pay. The first shot comes in from the bat chat, but Shotnik has the angle. Doesn't connect the shot, though, crucially, and he loses his teammate. Des goes down, and it's just Shotnik to keep NSS in this one. Their last chance at getting into this grand final is hanging in the balance. It's a 1v3, and Shotnik is up against the wall.
Shotnik just really has too much work to do right now. I mean, it's a two-shot. He's actually on reload right now. He's against 3 players, as you mentioned, from Hellraisers. They've all got at least one of them, Nucleus, got full HP, basically. He's now spotted Shotnik. It's only a matter of time.
Nucleus is so healthy. He knows he can just face fight this one out. Hellraisers, they brawl it out. That was supposed to be NSS's strength, but Hellraisers get it done. They come forward, guns blazing. They secure their spot in our grand